Imagine this. You're floating alone in open ocean, miles from shore, the water warm and inviting. Then the surface darkens not from clouds, but from something enormous rising beneath you. A head the size of a small boat breaks through, eyes cold and ancient, jaws lined with teeth longer than your hand. One snap and you're gone. No scream, no trace. This is no fantasy. This was everyday reality in the Jurassic Seas 150 million years ago when pliosaurs ruled as the ocean's most ruthless ambush killers. Long before that, in even deeper time, the oceans already belonged to monsters that turned survival into a constant gamble. One of the strangest prowled the Permian depths nearly 300 million years ago, a shark-like predator carrying a weapon no living creature has ever matched. Helicoprion coiled a spiral of serrated teeth in its lower jaw, a living circular saw that grew larger with every year of its life. Paleontologists puzzled over those fossilized whorls for decades, mistaking them for armor or fins, until scans revealed they sat inside the mouth like a rolled-up blade. The creature itself stretched 25 feet or more, silent and relentless. How it killed remains a chilling mystery. Did it whip the spiral sideways through schools of squid, or unfurl it to shred soft prey in a whirl of blood? One thing is certain, anything caught in that spinning death had no second chance. As life exploded in the Devonian seas 370 million years ago, another horror rose to dominate. Dunkleosteus was no shark, but an armored fish built like a fortress, reaching 30 feet and weighing as much as 4 modern great whites. Thick bony plates shielded its head, turning it into a living battering ram nearly impossible to wound from the front. It had no teeth at all, only self-sharpening blades of bone that snapped together like giant shears. The force behind those jaws could crush armored prey as easily as glass, leaving fossilized guts filled with shattered shells and severed spines. In its world, Dunkleosteus devoured everything, from smaller relatives to early sharks, reigning unchallenged as the ocean's first true superpredator. Millions of years later, in the warm Eocene shallows 40 million years ago, a different kind of terror evolved from land to sea. Basilosaurus abandoned legs entirely, becoming 60 feet of serpentine muscle armed with rows of jagged, flesh-ripping teeth. Though named king lizard, it was an early whale turned hypercarnivore, slender and eel-like for lightning ambushes. Tiny vestigial hind limbs whispered of its ancient origins on shore, but in water it became perfect death. Fossils carry deep bite scars on other whales nearly its size, proof it hunted and cannibalized without mercy. Imagine a predatory serpent longer than a city bus, coiling around massive victims in shallow seas that once flooded continents, tearing them apart in clouds of crimson. In the early Cretaceous, 120 million years ago, the inland waters of ancient Australia hid yet another nightmare. Kronosaurus grew to 40 feet, its skull alone 9 feet long and packed with conical teeth the size of bananas. 4 massive flippers drove explosive charges, ramming prey before the crushing bite. One preserved specimen holds the remains of turtles, long-necked reptiles, and even smaller pliosaurs swallowed whole evidence it devoured anything that moved. Its jaws could crumple bone or metal with equal ease, and in those vast shallow seas, nothing outswam or outfought this relentless hunter. These ancient killers already dwarfed today's predators in size and savagery, turning oceans into realms of constant dread. Yet they were only the prelude. Deeper in time, larger shadows gathered forces of nature that made these beasts seem almost restrained. The true lords of prehistoric terror are still rising from the abyss, and their stories make every ripple in open water feel watched. The worst has not yet surfaced. As the Cretaceous dawned, the oceans grew warmer and deeper, inviting a new breed of killers that perfected the art of ambush. One rose from the murky bottoms like a ghost, patient and invisible until the moment of eruption. Leopleurodon haunted the Jurassic waters 150 million years ago, a short-necked pliosaur that turned stillness into a weapon. The largest fragments, massive jaws from England, and isolated teeth from France hint at bodies stretching beyond 40 feet, though most hovered around 25. 4 enormous flippers propelled it in explosive bursts, calculations suggesting sprints faster than 20 miles per hour in shallow seas. It lay motionless on the seafloor, blending with silt and shadow, senses tuned to the faintest vibration overhead. Then it struck upward in a storm of power, jaws gaping to reveal conical teeth thick as stakes. Fossilized bite marks on swift ichthyosaurs and even fellow marine reptiles show no mercy. It impaled, shook, and drowned prey in seconds. To swim above Leopleurodon was to gamble with a trap already sprung. Its lineage pushed further into nightmare with a cousin that carried raw power in every bone. Pliosaurus funky, unearthed in frozen Norwegian islands and once dubbed Predator X, wielded a skull over 8 feet long, one of the mightiest weapons ever attached to a carnivorous reptile. Reconstructions place its full length between 40 and 50 feet, the body broad and muscular like a living torpedo. The bite it unleashed has been modeled at nearly 33,000 pounds of force, enough to shatter bone or crumple steel beams. Related fossils preserve half-digested remains of sharks, and smaller plesiosaurs gulped whole after a single collision. Pliosaurus hunted not with patience alone, but with overwhelming violence, ramming at speed, then crushing whatever struggled in its grip. In the cold, dim waters of the late Jurassic, it turned open ocean into a demolition zone where survival meant staying far from any sudden shadow below. Toward the end of the dinosaur era, a different predator claimed dominion, evolving from land lizards into serpentine sea tyrants. Mosasaurus prowled the late Cretaceous 70 million years ago, growing to nearly 60 feet longer than modern shipping containers stacked end to end. Its body tapered into a shark-like tail fluke for endless cruising across vast oceans, while double-hinged jaws opened impossibly wide to swallow prey too large to tear. Serrated teeth lined both edges like rows of steak knives, slicing flesh in ragged chunks. Most unsettling was its secondary palate, letting it breathe calmly while clamped around a thrashing victim. One famous Belgian fossil freezes the horror. A mosasaurus with an entire armored shark still wedged in its throat, taken down without the hunter pausing its glide. It crossed entire seas in search of food, turtles, ammonites, plesiosaurs, even diving hesperornithid birds snatched from the surface. Nothing that entered the water was beyond its reach. In the shallow western interior seaway that once split North America, an even bulkier relative enforced absolute rule. Tylosaurus stretched 60 feet or more, its elongated snout reinforced with a bony battering ram used to stun schools of fish or smash rival males in brutal combat. Deep scars on preserved skeletons tell of territorial wars fought with teeth the size of daggers, gashes cutting through thick hide. One astonishing discovery captures a Tylosaurus that died mid-meal, its stomach still containing a long-necked plesiosaur swallowed headfirst, tail protruding like a macabre trophy. Sustained speeds allowed it to patrol immense territories, overtaking prey that thought distance meant safety. Sharks vanished into its gullet, sea turtles cracked like eggs, smaller mosasaurs cannibalized without hesitation. In those warm, teeming shallows 80 million years ago, Tylosaurus was the final authority. Everything else existed only until it grew hungry. These four escalated the terror to oceanic scale, turning vast seas into hunting grounds where size and speed left no refuge. Yet even they bowed before the final pair, monsters from a younger epoch that hunted whales the way great whites hunt seals. Predators armed with teeth designed not just to kill, but to dismantle the largest creatures Earth has ever carried through water. Their era brought the ocean closer to our own time, making their shadows feel almost within reach. The ultimate horrors are surfacing now, and once you hear their stories, every deep dive will carry their echo. As the Miocene epoch warmed the oceans 10 million years ago, a new predator emerged that hunted the ancestors of today's great whales, not as distant giants, but as everyday meals. Leviathan melvillei, named after the biblical sea monster and the author who immortalized another, was a sperm whale gone primal. It stretched 60 feet or more, matching the largest modern sperm whales in length, but far surpassing them in weaponry. Its jaws carried the largest functional teeth of any animal ever measured, some exceeding 14 inches long, thicker than a man's wrist, and rooted deep for tearing enormous chunks of flesh. Unlike today's sperm whales that suction feed on squid, Leviathan was built for active pursuit and dismemberment. Fossil skulls from Peru reveal a massive temporal fossa, indicating jaw muscles powerful enough to shear through blubber and bone. Stomach, content inferences, and bite marks on other prehistoric whales paint the scene. It rammed into pods of baleen whales the size of city buses, locking onto flippers or tails with those colossal teeth, then shaking until arteries burst. In waters that teemed with abundant prey, Leviathan ruled as the ultimate mammalian superpredator, a warm-blooded killing machine that left no safe depth for anything its own size. Yet even Leviathan met its match in the shadows of the same seas, where the true emperor of prehistoric oceans waited. Megalodon, the megatoothed shark, prowled from 20 million to 3 million years ago, growing to lengths that dwarf every other predator on this list. Conservative estimates place it at 50 feet, but the largest tooth sets and vertebral calculations suggest monsters reaching 65 or even 70 feet, 3 times longer than a great white. Heavier than 10 elephants combined. Its jaws formed a cavern 7 feet across, lined with over 200 serrated teeth up to 7 inches long, each edge finely notched like a steak knife for slicing through flesh and crushing bone. Bite force reconstructions exceed 40,000 pounds per square inch, enough to puncture steel. Nursery sites in ancient shallow waters reveal it gave live birth to pups already 10 feet long, while adult hunting grounds spanned entire oceans. Fossils bear the evidence. Whale vertebrae snapped clean in half, flipper bones gouged with perfect triangular wounds, tails severed mid-thrust. Megalodon did not scavenge. It ambushed from below, striking with speed that belied its bulk, then retreating to let blood loss finish what the bite began. It hunted blue whale-sized prey routinely, turning the open ocean into a realm where the largest creatures alive fled in panic at the faintest flicker of that unmistakable dorsal fin. These final two did not merely dominate their eras, they defined them. Where earlier monsters ruled smaller seas with brutal efficiency, Leviathan and Megalodon commanded global oceans teeming with the biggest prey Earth has ever produced. Their weapons were not just larger, but perfectly evolved for dismantling leviathans, leaving scars on the fossil record that still whisper of unrelenting violence. And though they vanished as climates cooled and prey dwindled, their teeth wash up on beaches even today, perfectly preserved reminders that the sea once belonged to something far worse than sharks. The next time you stand at the water's edge, feel the waves pull at your ankles, and remember, every dark shape beneath the surface carries their echo. The ocean has grown quieter, but it has never forgotten how to hide monsters. Some shadows are simply waiting for the world to warm again. If these ancient leviathans have made you rethink every shadow in the waves, then stay with us, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because the ocean still guards secrets far darker than these fossils reveal. Like this video if it sent a chill down your spine, share it with someone brave enough to watch, and tell us in the comments which of these monsters would make you never swim again. Megalodon's silent ambush from below, or Leviathan's bone-crushing frenzy? Your answer might just save someone from dipping a toe in open water. Thank you for diving into the abyss with us. We'll surface again soon with more horrors that time tried to bury. Until then, keep one eye on the horizon and the other on what's rising beneath.